Can you tell me a little bit about your strategy for automatic writing? Because I know people do it differently. And I always like to know kind of how you recommend people get started. Is it just meditating and waking up and writing down the inspiration that you get, kind of like the way these sort of started?
Yeah, there's quite a few ways of, I mean, journaling is a great way to kind of like introduce into to automatic writing. There's a method of journaling where you wake up first thing in the morning and you write for 3 pages. You don't think, you don't do anything, you just whatever comes into mind. The way I started doing it is very much meditative. So in all my spiritual practices, and I've tested all of them because I always encourage my students to question everything and to test everything. But one thing that I found that sets me up for success is always a space of grounding, centering, and connecting. So creating that sacred space in order to do the spiritual work. So with regards to automatic writing, I'd always meditate, a little bit, ground, center myself, and I would sit with a piece of paper. And there's something about pen and paper or pencil and paper that actually triggers something within your brain that starts to open you up to writing. And what I would do is I would either ask a question or I would sit and I'd wait. And whatever came into my mind, I would write in, and it used to start with kind of like a word, and then it was a word, and then sorry, I'm just getting. I would get a word, and then I'd be like, nope, and then it would continue until I wrote it down, and then once I wrote it down, I'd get the next word, and then the next sentence would come in, and then I was writing paragraphs. But my suggestion is on the same day, same time, sit, and with your journal, meditate, ground, center, and connect. And this is a great way to connect to your guides as well. So it's almost kind of like there's this stream of thought that automatic writing absolutely comes in from where, spirit takes over and you don't know what you're writing. And that happens to me all the time in Akashic records, where I tend to write a message, I give it out, and then months later people are like, when you told me, and I was like, no, I don't. It kind of like, it releases, and then when I read it, I'm like, wow, that was quite profound. I know it's not from me, right? But it's practice, and it's trust, because the ego tends to try and jump in, and we try to kind of like correct the structure of the sentence or the word, or sometimes we're like, this doesn't even make sense until you continue to write. So my recommendation: ground, center, connect, sit with paper, pen, a journal, and just allow the flow of whatever comes into your mind to run through. And then eventually it will start kind of like messages.
Beautiful. Do you ever ask a question and then wait for the answer?
Absolutely. And this is what helped me with the Akashic records when I found the records. So I would connect consciously to the records and I'd ask the question, why? What is this happening? Why am I in this, this house, and or whatever it may be? And that helped me to kind of like navigate my world. And that's where the Akashic records I found to be very, very, very a powerful tool in helping me to overcome and move very much from a very corporate way of thinking, a corporate way of life, into the spirituality and supporting and being of service that I am today.